Admiral Zexthak of the Galactic Empire's Third Fleet stared at the holographic display with barely concealed irritation. The small blue-green world rotating slowly before him should have been a simple conquest, another primitive civilization to be absorbed into the Empire's vast dominion. Yet here he stood, 3 cycles after the initial survey, still orbiting this unremarkable system. Admiral, his aide, Commander Veltar, approached with obvious reluctance. The Council's message has arrived. Zexthak's 4 eyes narrowed as he absorbed the transmission. The Galactic Council, in their infinite wisdom, had declared this system, Sol, the inhabitants called it, off-limits to Imperial expansion. The reasoning was laughable. Unpredictable species. Recommend extreme caution. Unpredictable. Zexthak's translator struggled with his species' equivalent of laughter. They haven't even achieved faster-than-light travel. Their largest weapons are crude nuclear devices. What could possibly— Sir, interrupted Lieutenant Ketmo from the sensor station, we're detecting multiple energy signatures rising from the third planet's surface. The main display shifted to show dozens of primitive spacecraft ascending through Terra's atmosphere. They were ungainly things, metal cylinders with chemical propulsion systems that any civilized species had abandoned millennia ago. Some carried what appeared to be crude kinetic weapons, others mounted their atomic devices. They're attempting to form a defensive perimeter around their world, Veltar observed. How quaint. Zexthak activated the communications array. Attention, primitive vessels. You are hereby ordered to stand down and prepare for Imperial assessment. Resistance will be met with total annihilation. The response came in their crude language, automatically translated. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Coalition. You have been warned repeatedly to stay out of our system. This is your final warning. Leave now, or face the consequences. The bridge erupted in what passed for laughter among the Imperial crew. The Third Fleet consisted of 12 battlecruisers, each capable of glassing a continent. Their shields could withstand the impact of small asteroids. Their weapons could crack moons. These humans had sent up perhaps 100 vessels that looked like they might fall apart if someone sneezed on them. Begin the assault, Zexthak commanded. Make it quick. The first salvo from the Imperial ships lanced out. Precise, devastating. Energy beams that should have vaporized the human vessels instantly. Instead, something impossible happened. The beams struck and dissipated, not absorbed, not deflected. They simply ceased to exist upon contact with the primitive human ships. Sir, Ketmo's voice cracked with shock. Our weapons had no effect. The energy readings are— I don't understand what I'm seeing. Before Zexthak could respond, the human ships opened fire. What emerged wasn't energy, it was matter. Solid projectiles accelerated to significant fractions of light speed. But these weren't ordinary kinetic weapons. As they struck the Imperial shields, reality seemed to bend around them. The first battlecruiser's shields didn't just fail, they inverted, turning the ship's own defensive energy back on itself. The massive vessel imploded in a cascade of exotic matter that shouldn't have been possible with primitive technology. How are they doing this? Veltar demanded, his calm finally cracking. Another salvo from the humans, and another impossible result. This time, the projectiles passed through the second battlecruiser's armor as if it weren't there, then exploded. From within. Not with chemical or nuclear force, but with something that made space-time itself recoil. Zexthak's tactical computer was screaming warnings in 17 different languages. Casualty reports flooded in from the surviving ships. In less than 10 minutes, half his fleet was either destroyed or crippled by weapons that, according to every law of physics he knew, shouldn't work. Admiral Chen, he transmitted, his voice barely steady. What are those weapons? The human's response was almost casual. You wouldn't understand. Your species thinks in terms of energy and matter, force and resistance. You've never had to learn to think differently, because you've never had to face extinction 67 times in your recorded history. Another human ship fired, and this time Zexthak watched the projectile's telemetry carefully. The weapon didn't interact with normal space-time at all. It existed in dimensions his sensors could detect but not comprehend. Dimensions that humans, apparently, could not only access, but weaponize. Every time we've faced extinction, Admiral, Chen continued, we've had to find new ways to survive, new ways to fight, new ways to turn our weaknesses into strengths. You see primitive chemical rockets. We see delivery systems that don't depend on exotic matter you can disrupt. You see crude kinetic weapons. We see projectiles that operate in dimensional spaces you can't defend against. A third battle cruiser vanished, not destroyed, simply gone, as if it had never existed. The humans had somehow weaponized causality itself. Your counsel was right to warn you. Chen's voice carried an edge that made Zexathak's species-specific fear responses trigger. We are unpredictable, we've had to be. When you faced extinction as many times as we have, you learn that the universe has rules. And more importantly, you learn that desperate species find ways around those rules. Zexathak looked at his remaining fleet. 6 ships, all showing critical damage from weapons that operated on principles his civilization couldn't comprehend. The humans had fewer than 50 vessels remaining, but it didn't matter. Each human ship was apparently capable of violating the fundamental laws that governed the rest of the galaxy. Retreat, he commanded quietly. Then, louder. All ships, emergency withdrawal, maximum burn. As the Third Fleet limped away from Sol system, Zexathak sent a priority transmission to Imperial Command. Terran space to remain off-limits indefinitely. Species assessment. Extinct multiple times, yet somehow still active. Recommend quarantine until we understand how they make impossible technologies work. He paused, watching the blue-green world shrink in his displays. Amendment to report. Humans do not follow our physics. They appear to have developed their own. Behind them, the primitive vessels of Earth returned to their patrol routes, their impossible weapons powered down but ready. In the depths of space, an empire learned what the galaxy's other species already knew. Some worlds are marked off limits not because they are weak, but because they are so dangerously strong that even approaching them is a form of suicide.